Every year, over £21 billion is stolen from the UK's public purse. Money that's meant to treat our sick, educate our children, and keep us safe. Alongside crack teams of investigators.
This guy's got to be stopped as soon as possible.
She had defrauded the NHS.
We're tracking down the fraudsters, stealing our public money.
This man had effectively treated the NHS like a cash machine.
Locking them up.
They were going to be spending a lot of their time inside a prison cell.
And getting the cash back where it belongs.
We recovered close to £1 million.
She was ordered to pay just under £1.4 million.
I'm after his house, his car and some money.
Just over £23,000 back into the public purse.
Fraud Squad, the hunt is on. Today, a ruthless fantasist creates a fake persona in order to defraud the NHS of over £300,000 of our money.
And that's when the alarm bell started to go off and it became apparent that he actually wasn't where he said he should have been.
A high-flying businessman pockets nearly £10 million of public cash.
This was a complex fraud that Butler undertook. The idea of that was to put off the investigators and hope he could get away with it.
And a cold-hearted cheat exploits a terror attack, claiming she has a seriously injured daughter.
She was calculated, ruthless and a liar. She was the ultimate fraudster.
Our most precious public resource, the NHS, is creaking under the strain of offering free healthcare to 1 million of us every 24 hours. So when an impostor steals hundreds of thousands of pounds, the wound is felt by all. Meet 52-year-old Phil Huffton, a ruthless fantasist who creates a fake persona in order to swindle the NHS out of £300,000. He splashes the cash, travelling the world in style, all while pretending to be hard at work in the Middle East, helping refugees.
What came across as absolutely staggering, that someone could be as duplicitous and so callous. The only conclusion I can come to is that he was a Walter Mitty character. He genuinely believed that all of these stories were true. It's hardly surprising, therefore, that many people were taken in by it all.
We see all 1.5 million employees of the NHS as heroes, but one key member has a particularly impressive pedigree. The business development team at the Cambridge and Peterborough NHS Foundation has hired Phil Huffton, a charismatic ex-army major turned business development manager with a PhD from the University of Wales. He's the kind of high-flyer finance director Scott Haldane is pleased to find on board when he joins the trust.
This is Phil's CV, and it shows an incredibly strong profile of professional qualifications and membership of professional organisations, which we consider to be ideal for the job.
With a CV that was almost too good to be true, the Trust is happy to accept this consultant's daily rate of £600. And when it comes to slotting into the team, Phil is a perfect fit.
Phil was a very personable guy. He seemed to get on very well with people in the office. On his desk, he had pictures of his family, pictures of him in a military dress uniform, which again suggested that he had a kind of backstory that was interesting.
Indeed it was. As a retired army major, Phil claims he saved countless lives working for the UN and been awarded an array of medals, including a prestigious military cross. Just a few weeks later, a business opportunity presented itself to the Trust, a chance to develop a mental health service out in Qatar.
Phil stepped forward and said that from his personal experience and contacts, that actually he would be an ideal person to secure that contract.
with the very real possibility of securing a vital cash injection for the NHS, there's a lot riding on the deal.
Qualifications that he had seemed an ideal fit, and he certainly came across as a very convincing character.
Off Phil flew to the Middle East, smoothing the way for this lucrative NHS deal. And colleagues have no reason to think that Phil wasn't where he said he was.
So the invoices we were receiving from the agency were suggesting he was spending time in the Middle East or working from home, and his home base was in the north of England.
Along with the invoices came a significant number of expenses claims, including £9,000 for a visit to a refugee camp in Jordan. But surely that was understandable for someone forging such vital business relationships. But then, one of Scott's colleagues asked for a quiet word.
Is that August to September bill?
Thanks, Richard. One of my colleagues brought to my attention when we were doing a routine review of our telecoms costs, one individual in particular, his bill was considerably higher than we might have expected.
The average use per month is about £30 per user.
And this is £766?
Yeah.
Wow.
A quick cross-check reveals the phone bill belongs to key team member Phil Huffton.
When I saw the bills and saw it was Phil Huffton, I put it down to the fact that he was in the Middle East and one might expect that to be, a bit more expensive than making calls from the UK.
But as they dig deeper into the detail, what they uncover is baffling.
Outgoing USA internet.
There's some Antigua activity as well, around the Caribbean.
And that's when the alarm bell started to go off. It became apparent that he actually wasn't where he said he should have been. We felt that we had to explore this in more depth. Maritime internet.
What they believe could be a cruise ship. Quite a significant use as well.
A large proportion of the spend is curiously attributed to maritime roaming fees, usually associated with data usage on cruise ships.
I don't expect to see someone who's supposedly working in Qatar have on their phone bill maritime internet.
If Phil Huffton isn't where he says he is, then where is he? And could he be stealing from the public purse?
That clearly raised some concerns, hence the reason we decided that we needed to escalate the investigation process.
Later, the wounds of betrayal cut deep.
He'd actually bought the medals on the internet. Who does that kind of thing?
For most of us, crime is something remote. Lawbreakers inhabit a world to be feared from afar. But actually, financial fraudsters of the worst kind are living and working amongst us. And nothing can prepare you for just how low this next serial fraudster is prepared to go.
This is the tale of a cold-hearted cheat who exploits the horror of the Manchester Arena terror bombing, pretending her daughter has been seriously injured in the attack in order to claim insurance money. This scam artist also faked cancer battles, pregnancies, and more injured children she never had, in total thieving nearly £140,000.
She was calculated, ruthless, and a liar. She was the ultimate fraudster.
June 2017. The UK is in deep mourning. Millions of us reeling from the news that a bomber has killed 22 people at the Manchester Arena, injuring 139 more, half of whom were children. In the days following this devastating event, insurance companies begin to receive legitimate claims from people in need of financial help. One claim hits the desk of a Merseyside insurance brokerage. It's from a desperate mother of one of the victims.
Her daughter, Sophie, had suffered serious injuries as a result of a terrorist attack in Manchester.
She recorded she was initially treated in ICU and underwent 2 major operations.
The mother, a dentist, was unable to work during this difficult time.
And so the claim was for compassionate leave, where she couldn't earn any income due to looking after a sick daughter. This one in particular was so emotive that it usually brought about a quick signature, a quick back transfer, money in the bank account.
Employees at the insurance brokerage are understandably affected by the details of this claim. And out of sympathetic curiosity, look the injured girl up online.
The Manchester bombing was, of course, national news, and so they were just interested, I think, more than anything else. It was easy to find any details of who was involved in the casualties on social media.
But to their surprise, her name doesn't appear anywhere. They soon realise Sophie doesn't exist.
This little girl wasn't, in fact, at the Manchester arena, and certainly wasn't caught up in any terrorist attack in Manchester that day.
Suspicions aroused, the employee goes to share her concerns with one of the company's directors. This particular director has been employed at the insurance company for 35 years. She's well respected and handsomely paid.
She was earning at this time £2,500 a month net, so she's on a good wage. She was in a trusted position and she made her way up over a number of years, so much so that she was able to sign off any of the claims. She had a job to do and she went about it with very, very limited controls around her.
Having flagged their concerns to the director about the possible fraudulent nature of the claim, they wait for direction.
She sent back an email to them to say, yes, it was a current policy, and sign it off, basically.
But that wasn't going to happen because the insurance company instructed to pay out are doing some digging of their own, looking specifically into Sophie's mother.
They looked into whether she made any other claims apart from the one that they just found, and they did. They found 6 others. And the person who had signed it off was the same person.
And the person signing off all the claims was always the same company director. Is this purely a coincidence, or could this be an inside job? There was only one thing to do: call the cops.
We received a call from an insurance company stated that they believed that a director of their company had committed fraud, not once but on a number of occasions over a number of years, and wanted us to have a look into it.
At the City of London Police HQ, Simon Stiles examines the file of evidence amassed by the insurance company on their own director and suspected fraudster.
After they've done an initial investigation on one of their claims, they were concerned that the dentist who made the claim did not exist. A land registry search revealed the address for the dentist was a property jointly owned by the defendant and her husband, and that the dentist's name was listed as an alias.
The woman making the claim is in fact one of the directors at the insurance company. She's using her married name to make false insurance claims for large sums of cash. But this isn't the most shocking revelation. In fact, the woman making the claim for her daughter has no children.
It should go without saying, the dentist's daughter was not a casualty of the Manchester MEN Arena terrorist attack.
Daughter Sophie, the tragic victim of the Manchester Arena bombing, is purely a figment of a very warped imagination. His prime suspect is oblivious that the police are closing in.
When we received this information, that referral, we knew we had to move quickly. We didn't know what she would be doing next. We didn't want her to be tipped off in any way that could actually conceal or get rid of any evidence that was going to be vital to any later prosecution.
And all of Simon's 17 years of experience tell him this is just the tip of the iceberg.
My hunch was right. There were others. There was 31 of us.
Later, more shocking lies exposed.
No topic was off limits. My son was involved in a serious RTA. My husband has been treated for testicular cancer. My daughter Daisy was admitted to Alder Hay Children's Hospital with viral meningitis. Every one of these was a lie.
Our investigators are clearly committed to their jobs, but what would they be doing if they weren't part of the fraud squad?
If I wasn't in my current role, I've got family in Key West, really like it out there. I think I'd like to be an artist in Key West, Florida, you know, go to work in my shorts, flip-flops every day, get the sun on my back and go fishing with the family at the weekend.
If I wasn't investigating fraud, I would still be head of RSPB investigations, which deals with inquiries regarding bird of prey persecution, some habitat destruction and people that steal birds' eggs.
Yeah, what would I be doing if I wasn't investigating fraud? I would have loved to have worked in Ibiza, perhaps as a holiday rep.
I think I would be doing photography. Not sure I'd make any money out of it, but I enjoy it. And I haven't got a great camera, but I quite enjoy taking photographs. I quite like taking photographs from weird angles, so church steeples from the bottom and you know, landscapes from different views, really. And that's probably my creative side coming out.
Professional footballer.
I don't know, there's childhood dreams of being a vet, but a little bit squeamish probably, so it put me off that.
Have you ever wondered what drives these fraudsters to commit their crimes and risk losing everything, including their freedom? I'm going to discover the lengths some criminals are prepared to go in order to fund their lavish lifestyle.
In this case, HMRC fraud investigators uncover a high-flying businessman who masterminded an international fraud.
He thought he was too bright, too clever. Why would anybody ever catch him with this sophisticated fraud?
Stealing almost £10 million from the public purse and using it to live a jet-set life of supercars and speedboats.
This was somebody who actively went out there and deliberately defrauded this nation, but to a very, very high sum.
Rob Brucker is a titan within the world of fraud investigation. With over 30 years of experience within the private and public sector, no fraudster can hide from him. And to understand the fraudster's mindset is Dr. David Holmes, a criminal psychologist who's been getting into the minds of master criminals for over 3 decades. Marbella, Spain. A favourite residence for many expats, including millionaire businessman Jason Butler. He lives a luxurious life, driving Ferraris and Rolls Royces, while amassing a property empire back home in Leeds. But nothing is what it seems.
Jason Butler was quite an extrovert. This was somebody who was stimulus-seeking. It's not somebody who avoided things, it's somebody who confronted things head-on. And he was very intelligent and very, very good at business and setting up businesses.
Butler controls a number of companies, the biggest of which is called Multi-Level Media. Its business is buying and selling valuable payment protection insurance, PPI, customer data.
Data is currently one of the biggest commodities that you can have. And obviously there's genuine data, and then there's fraudulent data, and there is data that can be used to commit fraud.
HMRC would soon discover that, in Butler's case, he's buying and selling data purely to commit fraud. The first thing to attract their attention is the sheer number of companies owned by Butler.
He owned over 90 companies with Companies House. For what purpose were they all used? Is it for money laundering? Is it for issuing duplicate invoicing? Why would you own so many companies?
And this isn't the only thing to provoke concern, as Butler tells them that through his companies, he's bought almost £60 million worth of personal data.
HMRC would surely have seen a one-man band with a turnover of £60 million. It's quite unusual.
It certainly raises a red flag, and they begin to investigate this seemingly large, vibrant company.
The investigators would look at the accounts that were submitted to Companies House and compare that to the data that Butler had provided to them. If the accounts didn't add up to the information that they'd been supplied with, that would raise a red flag and question marks over what was the purpose of these companies.
These records reveal that much of the trading Butler allegedly did never took place. He had actually created hundreds of fake invoices.
Just literally written out the invoices to be able to enable him to claim back the VAT.
On paper, it looks like the millionaire is doing the right thing, paying substantial amounts of VAT. But in reality, he's forging purchase invoices in order to reclaim millions of pounds under false pretenses.
Butler was very status hungry, and the more he got, the more he wanted. To try and defraud a few 100,000 is one thing, but then to push that into the multi-millions, it just shows someone who really thought that he was well above everyone else. Eventually, he thought he could outwit anyone.
HMRC see firsthand someone successfully getting away with fraud and beginning to believe they are invincible.
This type of scam often begins with one company. When you realise how successful it is, you create more companies, whereby you end up making millions of pounds.
Further investigation reveals that this data is being sold through a long chain of companies, which stretch from the UK through to Gibraltar and the US.
Butler would have transferred the data through all these various companies, through Gibraltar, through to America, to try and hide it from the HMRC investigators.
Butler is controlling each step in the chain of transactions, hiding his fraud by involving several companies which have an established tax history with HMRC to make the whole thing look legitimate.
I think for Butler, small petty fraud was really never on the cards. There's no way he's going to actually have a fleet of sports cars like that, you know, with just a few bob nicked from the tax office.
Undeterred, investigators begin to unpick the trail of fraud through offshore companies and international bank accounts.
The investigators will need to go abroad and speak with the authorities over there to get an understanding of what the companies were actually doing. In addition, speaking with the banks to understand the transactions that have been made.
And this is not the only problem for the investigators.
Butler used fake companies and genuine companies. The reason for this being was to make it more difficult for the HMRC investigators to trace.
While the fraud squad worked to find out the truth, Jason is living a life of luxury in his villa in Marbella.
Butler was not the shy, retiring type. He was an extrovert. He was someone who would be happy to show off. He wanted people to realise that he was above the norm. And he wanted a fleet of sports cars that would be the envy of anyone on the planet.
However, the fraud squad are closing in. A trail of fake purchases, backed up by forged invoices, prove that Jason Butler has falsely reclaimed just under £10 million in VAT. This could have paid the annual salary of almost 500 teachers.
The investigators, having secured this evidence, would have enough information to take it to the CPS and confirm that they can get a charging order to secure a prosecution.
On the 22nd of March 2018, at Leeds Crown Court, Butler is found guilty of VAT fraud. The judge sentences him to 9 years in prison. Proceedings are now underway to recover the stolen money.
This was a complex fraud that Butler undertook, utilising many different companies in different jurisdictions. The idea of that was to put off the investigators and hope he could get away with it.
NHS Finance Director Scott Haldane is reeling from a bombshell discovery about a trusted employee. 52-year-old war hero and Doctor of Philosophy, Phil Huffton. This extraordinarily well-qualified business development manager is supposed to be nailing down a lucrative NHS business deal in the Middle East. But his phone bills suggest he's in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. Scott's priority is to nail Huffton's exact location, and the investigative process is ramped up.
When they started to map the GPRS from the telephone bill, they were able to identify a specific cruise and its itinerary, which was due to leave New York and go via the Caribbean islands of Antigua, Barbuda and Aruba, and then end up in Fort Lauderdale.
The investigators make contact with the cruise company, and bingo.
The investigators discovered a boarding pass for a cruise that him and his family had been booked on.
Concrete proof that Phil, who is supposed to be hard at work in Qatar, is shockingly on the other side of the world, treating his family to a 5-star cruise.
All those concerns and fears about something may not be quite right all came home.
Huffton has been swindling thousands of pounds of NHS money, blowing it on limos and luxury holidays.
Quite clearly wasn't where he was supposed to be had he been working, but indeed was actually having a family holiday at the expense of the taxpayer. I've got no idea what was actually going through Phil's mind. He must have been concerned this tangled web of deceit was likely to catch him out.
But nothing could prepare Scott for what investigators uncover next when checking his email account.
During that time, Phil sent a report claiming to have been on a visit to a refugee camp in Jordan with an email attachment which said, "Off to the office." That was obviously distressing when we subsequently discovered that he hadn't been anywhere near Jordan, but in fact had been on a Caribbean cruise. Turns out to have been a photograph that he found online. What came across as absolutely staggering, that someone could be as duplicitous and so callous.
Phil sends out a barrage of decoy emails over a 4-month period.
There was some email telling us that he was having a really, trying day in Qatar, and then the next email to the concierge asking where his stretch limo for his tour of New York. So as soon as it became clear that actually all was not well, we terminated his contract.
With Huffton out the way and armed with the knowledge that they're dealing with a fraud on a potentially massive scale, the investigation escalates quickly. Scott prepares himself for more to come.
I couldn't have anticipated what they found. The complexity that then became apparent in his private life and the way he kind of ran his life almost beggared belief.
With Phil on permanent leave, Scott digs deeper into this scheming individual's backstory. First, his too-good-to-be-true CV. Well, turns out it was exactly that.
It just became very clear that his CV was just a web of lies and deceit. He claimed to be a doctor. He claimed to have had a PhD from the University of Wales and then a Master's in Philosophy from Trinity College Dublin. When the investigators checked out, the only record that the University of Wales had was that he had an ordinary degree in nursing and no right to then call himself Dr. Phil Huffton.
Discovering everything you thought you knew about a trusted colleague is fake hits the team hard.
It came as a real shock to people because he was a very, he was a well-liked person in the office, and people just kind of didn't believe that of him. He didn't seem that type of person, but clearly the evidence speaks for itself, which is, really sad.
And Associate Director Alison, who worked closely with Phil, is still processing the news.
Phil used to sit in this corner of the office and I used to sit next to him here. So we used to talk a lot, lots of tales about his military career. He had a big picture on his desk with his full military mess dress on. He wasn't shy in telling everyone what qualifications he had and what he'd done. Always a story with Phil.
But fraudster or not, surely anyone would be rightly proud of such an impressive military background.
That is the photograph that used to be on his desk. Yeah.
The photograph looks as if it's been taken whilst he's been on a cruise. The look of pride in his face as well. Part of his military service, Phil claimed to be a major in the army, having spent 10 years, and also the recipient of a military cross. His military record was bogus. He'd certainly never had a military cross.
And the shocking revelations don't end there. As the team discovers, there's no actual record of Huffton ever having served active duty.
What came up was he was a cadet officer in the Territorial Army. It was almost to the point where you thought, what next? Because it seemed so fanciful, so far-fetched, that it couldn't possibly be true. He'd actually bought the medals on the internet. Who does that kind of thing?
Who indeed? But there's another, even more outrageous lie to be uncovered.
When he made it known that he had a family history of testicular cancer and indeed was suffering from it himself and may have to go in for a procedure, everybody was really sorry to hear that and very supportive of him and wished him well. Clearly at that point we had no idea that actually, rather than going in for surgery, he was heading off on a cruise with his family. When you think about it, that's heinous. Cancer's not the kind of thing you joke about.
Having amassed a catalogue of damning evidence, proving that Phil is a brazen thief and compulsive fantasist, it's time to contact the police.
The police thought there was a case to answer and he was promptly arrested on the grounds of fraud. Phil was brought in for questioning. In the first stages of the interview, he felt this was all a big misunderstanding. But after about an hour and a half, he broke and confessed that actually it was all a pack of lies, he'd made it all up.
And once Phil starts confessing, the whole house of cards came crashing down.
He told officers that most of his adult life had just been lived as a lie, which is staggering. It's surprising, therefore, that he got to a point where he just couldn't remember how many lies he'd told, because lies were being layered on lies were being layered on lies. The only conclusion I can come to is that he was a sort of Walter Mitty type character. He genuinely believed that all of these stories were true. And it's hardly surprising, therefore, that many people were taken in by it all.
Whatever the reason for his lies, the facts are that imposter Phil Huffton embezzled NHS money by fraudulently submitting a number of expenses and invoices for work he wasn't doing. In total, a jaw-dropping £349,383, which would have paid for over 15,000 NHS GP appointments. But Phil Huffton's day of reckoning arrives.
On the 22nd of November 2018, Phil Huffton appeared here at Cambridge Crown Court and was found guilty of 2 counts of fraud by false representation. A colleague was at the court to hear Phil plead guilty. He described him as looking gaunt, drawn, and not the outgoing, lively personality that he had been when he worked for the Trust.
Phil Huffton is sentenced to 5 years in prison. The judge noting, his offences had helped him fund a lavish lifestyle. The fantasy was over. Huffton is ordered to pay back a total sum of £294,747 to the Trust. If he fails to do so within 3 months, he risks a further 3 years behind bars. And Scott has instructed a complete procedural review.
The Trust has looked at all its policies and processes. We've made sure that any such posts that we bring in through an agency, we have a much tighter rein on how we manage them. We're very clear about their brief, and we're very clear about knowing where they are and what they're doing. We've learned a great deal from the experience, and we'd like to think that we would never be caught out in the same way again.
For most of us, the news of a terror attack at Manchester Arena, in which adults and children lost their lives, produces feelings of anger, horror, and heartache. But in Merseyside, a vulture circles ready to exploit this tragic event for profit. A trusted company director of an insurance company has faked a claim for a daughter purportedly injured in the bombing who doesn't even exist.
She had pulled at the heartstrings to make sure there was a payout quickly without any fuss. Greed really overtook what she did.
The insurance company has already identified 6 fraudulent and emotionally charged claims, all connected to the company director.
She had been making these claims for years and years and years and knew what to put in them, knew what to do to sign them off. No one disputed what she'd written.
Simon knows a serial fraudster when he sees one and is convinced the fraud runs far deeper. He orders a full audit going back 8 years, and the results are truly shocking. A further 24 fraudulent claims, every single one coldly crafted to deliver maximum emotional impact.
No topic was off limits, and she talks about my mother fell and broke her hip regarding treatment. She received £5,924. The lies just went on. A dental surgeon. My son was involved in a serious RTA, that's a road traffic accident, whilst holidaying in France. My husband has been treated for testicular cancer. It was necessary to me to take leave. She received £5,065.20. My daughter Daisy was admitted to Alder Hay Children's Hospital. This was back in 2011 with viral meningitis. I then had to take leave from a practice to care for her. £4,315.73. The list goes on and on. Every one of these was a lie.
The length this fraudster has gone to is staggering. She's shown contempt for those suffering real-life tragedy and exploited the emotions of her colleagues in order to grab more than £140,000. With the woman oblivious to the police investigation, next, Simon follows the money.
A number of payments had been made by the insurer into bank accounts. I quickly identified that in fact it wasn't her bank accounts she used, it was friends and family's bank accounts. And I had to identify if the payment had gone in, what happened to it, and where it ended up.
Even her nearest and dearest are being exploited.
I had to go to the Central Criminal Court to obtain production orders on all the bank accounts involved. And there I was able to get a true picture of what had occurred, that the money had gone into unsuspected family members and friends' accounts, and then almost immediately transferred, all feeding straight back into her bank accounts.
The company director is using her own family, duping them into laundering stolen money by passing it through their bank accounts into her own.
She covered it up by saying it was a bonus. It was believed because she was a person that could be trusted. Unfortunately, they didn't know her well enough. She'd had them all over for her personal greed.
Now in full possession of the facts, Simon tightens the net.
We needed to act quickly and to advance this investigation. One of the first things we did was knock on the door to ask her some questions.
It's time to give this callous scam artist a rude awakening.
We knocked at 5:45 in the morning just to make sure she was in and hadn't got to work earlier.
The fraudster opens the door, and no sooner does Simon flash his badge than it's all over.
Within seconds, she'd come clean. She turned to her husband and said, "Sorry, this is all down to me. You're not going to like what's going to happen." She hadn't told her husband. A relief in some way to her that she'd carried the burden for so long.
But that relief is short-lived, because this con artist is about to feel the full weight of the law.
She was arrested for fraud and taken to the local police station in Liverpool. She disclosed to us that some claims that she made she was right-handed. Some claims she actually did by using her left hand to hide the fact that it was one and the same person making the claim.
And taking a closer look at one of the claim forms, evidence of this deception is clear to see.
On the left here, she talks about the terrorist attack. She's used her normal writing, she's right-handed. And on the right-hand side here, which she'd done 4 years earlier, she'd gone to the lengths of recording this using her left hand, just so that anybody looking at these forms would not have been alerted to the fact that the same person had made the same fraudulent claims. The change of handwriting depicted someone who's calculated and callous at what they were doing.
The one big question left for Simon is why?
She said quite simply that she was in debt and she hadn't told her husband. I think that she was using that to convince herself that she wasn't cold-hearted and ruthless in her approach, but everything suggested what she had done over a period of 7 years, that she was calculated, ruthless and a liar.
On the 18th of September 2018, this fraudster is summoned to Liverpool Crown Court.
She appeared with a bag, very forlorn. She knew that she was going to prison, and that's where she ended up.
The judge jails her for 2 years, adding, all right-minded members of the public would be shocked that you would use a tragedy which shook the nation as the basis for a fraudulent claim. And there's a final sting in the tail.
There were subsequent Proceeds of Crime Act hearing, and a confiscation order was made that she pay back £139,000. To date, she's had to sell her house, and at a later stage, she'll have to give up her pension.
And in 3 years' time, when that pension matures, Simon will be waiting.
She needs to pay back the victims of crime. And that's what she'll do.